Happy Friday, Matt. How's it going?
We made it to Friday. Things are good. I'm getting over being sick, but feeling a lot better than earlier this week. So can't complain too much. How about you?
It's been a very busy week, and I haven't gotten a run in, and it's like you get that itch where you're just like, man, I just want to go outside. So hoping to find some time today. I know the first like 3 days of the week were super terribly windy and rainy and cold. Warmed up a little bit yesterday, but it's all right today. I need to get out of the house.
Yeah, it's such a good point. Like the runs, yes, are to stay in shape and all that, but it's also a mental reset, right? Just some time away from the office. And this week I was just not feeling it. It was one of those weeks. Like normally I'll run through like a minor cold or something, but I just had no energy. I'm like, okay. I woke up Saturday morning. It was Saturday weekend long run day. Said nope, and I have to be feeling pretty bad for that to come up. But if I had gone on like a 2-3 hour run Saturday morning, I don't know, man, it wouldn't have been good.
Some
I'd
of
be
those,
walking most of
yeah.
it probably.
It's still time on feet. It's ultra training, Matt. One day we'll get you there.
So it's a good point. I think that would be fun, but I'm sure you can relate to this. The hardest part about something like ultra running is like, this is like I'm not super fast or anything, but it's mentally hard to run slow enough to stay going that long, right? It takes a lot of discipline to be able to, even for my long runs are not super long. They're like anywhere between a half and like 18-20 or so, and you got to go decently slow to be able to get that in and not die. And I'm sure it's even more on like an ultra, right? You got to really conserve your energy.
Yep. Well, it is like for faster runners too. It's funny. We have people in our community that are super fast, like marathon runners. 3 hour, 3.5, and it's like if you just tone it back, like just instead of running your 7 minute miles, do a 9-10 minute mile. Like you could easily do a 50K or a 50 mile, but they just some people just can't do that. Can't tone it back. They just got to go all out. I've never had that problem. I mean, my fastest 1 mile is like 7, and I was like dying, right? And definitely I was like 80 pounds later at that point. So, just we bring the party bus, the back of the pack before we do.
I had
But
that problem when I started doing like decent distance. Like I would go at my normal pace and get halfway through and out and back and say, "Oh man, I still have like 9 miles to go," and I just used up all my energy on the way out. So I totally get it. But one day, Josh, I would like to get on the ultra train. It'd be fun.
yeah,
Um,
plenty of cool trails in
yeah,
your area, man. Finger Lakes, get
yeah,
up there.
seriously.
Well, we do have a shortened show this week. We have some kind of commitments here, so we got 20 minutes to get through stories. I mean, we got to talk, MLB playoffs, boo the Dodgers. I'm going for anybody but them, but they're up 3-0. So Seattle's got my bid a little bit, but we got to update people. And more importantly, hockey started. Avalanche are on field except for an overtime loss. So that's your sports update. Matt, you got a
Yeah,
minute.
if we
What's
get
up
into
there before we
sports, we'll
jump
be.
into
It's a really
uh,
good playoffs. I'll leave it at that.
it is a good playoffs. I mean, yeah. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get into our first story here since we got three of them today. So we got some related stories. The first one is how do you scale MSP support without burning out your team? So this person, it just hit 15 clients. The tickets have doubled, and my team is totally stressed. We've tried rotating shifts, automated reminders, onboarding checklists, everything, but it feels like we're putting out fires all day. There's got to be a smarter way to scale without burning everyone out, right? All right, Matt, give him. Let's give two pieces of advice, and then I'll figure out two more to give him.
Just two. Well, to me, this sounds like a phase that a lot of MSPs go through when they first start out, and it's the reality that you need to standardize things. Just kind of hit you square in the face. Um, when you have your first couple clients, you end up just kind of responding to things that come in and dealing with their issues, and it's not overwhelming to be able to deal with the things that come in because the volume of stuff to do is just still pretty low. But as you start scaling up, you'll see, well, wait a minute. client A is set up totally different from client B, and now they have unique and different problems. And usually, in the ideal world, you want the unique and different problems to be things like different line of business software, not totally different architectures. So working on standardization, not just of like the core things, but even how it's configured, right? Like, stuff to the level of, the Wi-Fi is always VLAN 10, right? Or the firewall is always at the bottom or top of the sub. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's going to set off like a holy war on, network numbering conventions, but stuff like that, right? And that's a hard lesson to learn, I think, for a lot of organizations, including me, by the way. I'm guilty of early in my MSP time setting up clients exactly how I thought they should be set up for that environment, and then moved to totally standardized environments once I realized the support burden that placed on me and my team. So I think that's the big one. In fact, I'll just do one because I just went on for a long time about that. So this to me is going through that phase of realizing it's time to start standardizing the environments.
Yep. From me on the operations side of the thing, so I'm looking at it like if all of your techs are fully utilized and you're drowning, like it's probably time to bring in some more techs. But I know that seems like an easy answer. However, from the operations side, like looking at it from not just utilization rate, are you charging enough? Like, what's your profit margin rate? If you are profitable but running like razor thin and your labor costs are super low, then it's like, okay, well, we have the room to bring somebody in, because if you don't, now burning out, you're going to lose techs. It's going to just become worse than it already is. The other side with that too is, if you're already burnt out with this, I think you almost take a hit and you give a senior like IT person or somebody go review the tickets. Like, what is causing all of these tickets and these fires? Are there anything that isn't, is there something that would be addressable? Like, are you have 50 Wi-Fi tickets because it's down and it's just something that's misconfigured, and all you're doing is temporary workarounds and you're not actually fixing the root cause of these? So having some sort of senior engineer looking at like, hey, can we prevent these tickets from coming in, rather than just, okay, well, we have all of these, like we're just going to do all of these temp workarounds and never actually fix the root cause of it. Because ideally, that's kind of the MS, depending on, they didn't say if this was break fix or managed services, but if you're on like an all you can eat plan, the goal is to just improve the infrastructure enough to where the calls and tickets are minimal, because you're, like Matt said, aligning to a standard, you're preventing issues from happening before they become tickets. So those would be kind of my two recommendations is, look at the operations level profit margin. Can we bring in another staff, and or take the hit, figure out some of the root causes of these.
Yeah, and what do you do if I guess I would follow that up with, if you find that operationally you can't actually support another hire yet, right? Because it's always the calling card of techs, right? Techs will go into a management meeting and say, hey, we're understaffed, right? They're always understaffed. What's your response to the team if you're hearing that and the numbers just don't support hiring somebody yet? Like, how do you address that?
That's a good question. Because to me that goes back to like, it's on you, man. If you are at 100% utilization rate, then there's something wrong with your contracts. You are not charging enough. You don't understand your margins or your COGS correctly. Your contracts aren't sized correctly. Maybe you're over promising whatever is in your contracts, but ultimately that comes on you. And at that point you basically say, hey, we can't, but like, this is on me, and I got to figure this out. And there's many ways that you can go from there. You can go listen to our other device, our previous advice, where we're talking about that, maybe redoing contracts when they come up, depending on their scheduled, or I don't know, maybe you take a hit just to keep your employees if you can afford that. There's a lot of, it depends, but ultimately, like, if you can't effectively run like this utilization, burning everyone into the ground, it's not sustainable. You're going to lose employees, which eventually you're also going to lose clients then.
Yeah, I think though you said the operative term here, right? It's not sustainable, but I do think it's worth some honest self-reflection. Like, did we just take on an extremely needed client who's just a train wreck that we have to fix and get through? And yeah, it's going to be a rough month or a rough couple of weeks while we get this thing straightened out. And when you're small and only a couple of techs, one bad client can really totally mess up your utilization rate temporarily and just feel like you're overwhelmed. And the difficulty as leadership during this is to be honest about whether this really is temporary and you just have to get through it, or if this is symbolic of being like a deeper chronic problem. And if it is, like, honestly, your employees will understand if the reality is we got a really busy couple of weeks we have to get through, if your prediction of it being temporary is accurate. If you say it's temporary and it turns into a like chronic understaffing issue, you lost a lot of credibility. But if you can really look at it and say this is just something we have to deal with while we get through this busy thing, most employees will get that.
Yeah. I think that's a good point too, is looking at it like, are all of these tickets coming from one particular client? And maybe it's time to part ways with that client, or again,
Yeah.
figuring something out with restructuring the contract. But yeah, it's all internal for sure. But yeah, so let's continuing with this. I think
Rapid
somebody,
fire today.
yeah, I think somebody from that MSP posted a story, our next story actually. So I'm a junior tech in an MSP, and I think I need to start my own company. I don't even know where to start. I'm just a junior tech in MSP doing tickets, onboarding, patching servers, putting out client fires every single day. And honestly, I'm burning out, but also I see a solution. I've learned so much from the chaos, what clients actually hate, what processes are broken, how support teams get crushed. And now I'm thinking I can do better. I can build an MSP that actually works the way it should without all of this nonsense. But here's the problem. I don't know if I'm ready. I barely feel like I know what I'm doing half the time. And yet part of me is screaming, you see the problems, you know what to fix. Why aren't you building it yourself? So here I am asking Reddit, do I start my own MSP from scratch, or am I just being naive? Oh boy.
I mean, both, maybe. I can expand on that. I'll say a couple things here. One is the do you start your own company? I didn't read the comments. I'm guessing it was a lot of no's. Um, it's very easy to see the things that go wrong in a typical org, like we were just talking about, right? Hey, we're understaffed. Charge more, right? It's harder to charge more than you would think.
Yep.
Client relationships, like all that stuff, all the running a business part of running a business is not something that you think about when you're looking at these conversations and looking around you and saying, man, I would totally do this differently. Like, yeah, maybe there was unlimited time and money you didn't know about. But the flip side to that is many successful MSPs today were started by people who had these same similar thoughts and who would have gotten the same advice of, you're probably not ready, don't go forward. And they went through it anyway. But just the reality is it can be kind of lonely in the start your own business area, right? You end up spending a lot of free time, or you don't really have free time anymore, just working on your company, working on client stuff, and you get done with all the technical stuff and realizing you have to go do the accounting at the end of the day, right? It's a different kind of life. It can be successful and rewarding, but know what you're getting into. And I'll say, having been in the industry for a really long time, and while I probably could go start my own MSP tomorrow, I don't really have any desire to do that. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean that's my thoughts exactly. Is like, you're thinking of all of the technical problems, but you have no idea what's waiting for you on the business side of these things. And that's where, I mean, we get into, unfortunately, a lot of these MSPs that are coming up is like, it's a sysadmin or somebody like this is like, oh, I can solve this tech better, but they don't understand the business operation side of it. And it's a whole nother world. I mean, that's the problems that you're like running into as an MSP versus the problems you're going to be solving like starting one are completely different. And if you're burnt out
Yeah.
now, I mean, man, you think running the MSP is going to be any better? Like you're going to be more burnt out. But to Matt's point, I mean, you don't know unless you try. So, it's one of those where you could try it, but man, there's a lot of things you need to get in a row, first. And this isn't just We see this a lot in the MSP space, obviously because we're in it. But this actually came up. One of my wife's coworkers' husband is a painter, and he got frustrated at with the crew, the place he was working. He decided that he's like, I know how to paint. Like, why am I working for somebody? So he decided to
Yeah.
leave and start his own, and it's not going very well for him because, again, he knows how to paint, but he doesn't know how to run a business. And now there's a lot of stress on the family with this. It's two different skill sets.
Yeah, the technical part of MSPing is, and I don't want to downplay it, right? Because that's important too, but it's relatively easier than the running a business portion. The technical stuff is just kind of skill set, and that's not to like diminish the importance of it or diminish the skill set of it, but for us mostly who are by nature technicians and engineering type people, that stuff's easy. Figuring out how to deal with like your employee's healthcare plan and like the accounting and what to do when like it's 2 a.m. and the person on call isn't answering the phone, like all that stuff, that's the hard part. And that's what you're going to spend a lot of time doing. And the funny thing is, as you scale, like just to remember what you're kind of signing up for, um, once you start getting into like any kind of real business, the founder owner is not doing very much engineering. Not too far into this, right? Like the people who founded the organization I came from were pure managers before too long. They didn't do a lot of like, yeah, they still interested in it. They still like tech. We would like sit around at the bar and talk about what was going on, but they were not doing day-to-day technical, nor should they have been, right? And so just I I don't want to speak for you, Josh, but I think I'll sum it up this way because we're low on time for this story. Like, we're not trying to discourage anyone from doing this. Just understand what you're signing up for.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was just gonna give the restaurant analogy, man. When I was a GM of that, like, dude, cooking the food or waiting tables, bartending, that's the easy part. Like, that's like the fun day to day. But like, what wasn't fun is everything else that was in that business. I mean, not so much that it wasn't fun, but it was like way harder, way more difficult, different skill set. Same thing, with the painting example, with this MSP example. So, yeah, grass isn't always greener, but you don't know if you don't try. So. Let's go ahead and cover this story quickly here, our last one. This guy went out and he started his own MSP, and now he's running into this issue here. So, in this next story, how do you handle these types of issues when users don't know your contract? So, been trying to figure out the best way to handle it. The issue is our contracts are worded in what is probably fairly typical way, defining SLAs for different levels of problems and response times. At our typical client, our POC, and maybe a few others know what our contract contains and what we agreed to, but the users putting in the tickets have never seen it, and I wouldn't expect them to. We've struggled with appropriate non-confrontational way to nicely remind people what our SLA is when they complain that a ticket is too long, and it seems more people are likely to get offended no matter how something is worded, and are more quick to respond in anger ever than ever. So what do we do? Do we ignore the complaint? Do we try to explain what we're contracted to provide? Do we get the POC to step in and explain it to them? So that's kind of it. So it seems like there's an issue with like this SLA. The example they give in: put a ticket about their desktop. We have the issue result in just under 30 minutes from the time it is reported. Our SLA for most desktop issues is 1 business day. They put in a complaint that 30 minutes is way too long. Yeah. So what is your advice for this part of thing? So this is the fun stuff that the technician who decided to go out to start their own MSP business has to solve, and it is not a technical problem.
So I'll try and be brief because I know we're short on time. I'll say a couple quick pieces of advice. One is if something is like, don't get into the minutia of the contract with the individual user. We always took the deal of help the user, and we'll sort out the billing between us and the point of contact later. Like, you as a tech shouldn't be dealing with that stuff. Just help the people who call in. As far as the complaints go, I actually would get the point of contact involved. I am not in the business of arguing the minutia of SLAs and stuff with an individual user. Have that conversation with the point of contact, either if it really is a billing credit due or if there's an expectation mismatch. Don't get into it with end users. It's just not worth it.
Yo. Well, and the other thing too is just almost an expectation setting sort of thing. Like if they're arguing over a 30-minute resolve time, like that is a little bit ridiculous, right? Like, so there needs to be some sort of expectation setting, and you would have that with your POC, with the C level, whoever it is that you've established that relationship with. And, basically, go over this, like, hey, we're doing these, and, we're getting these complaints. Is this, we've looked into the ticket. We feel it was handled appropriately. Is there something we can do better, or is this just an expectation setting that we need to handle together with this particular employee or employees? There's another thing that we can, get into, argue about, like, maybe it's not a good idea to have published SLAs, right? Like, because now you have something that can be used against you. But that, I mean, I think that's a conversation for, that's a different conversation that we have. But really, I mean, it all comes down to, like, it depends in the communications. But yeah, the specific example of the 30-minute one, that's a POC conversation about expectation setting.
Man, that's such a good point. I don't want to get into it, but man, I hope your SLA is at least only for response time and not resolution time. Like, resolution time is just unreasonable. Like, you can't hold yourself to it. So many weird things can happen. Response time, yeah, that can be kind of reasonable. Although I hate seeing stuff like, hey, we got your message, and now you met SLA. Like, that doesn't count.
Absolutely. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Let's go ahead and see what we got for events and plugs. What do we got going on this week here? We've got 7-Figure MSP Live event, October 21st, 23rd. We have TMT Q4 Producers Club, October 29th and 30th, Franklin, Tennessee. And, of course, we have IR Games the last Friday of the month. We also have a pretty large conference coming up that both Matt and I will be at, IT Connect Global.
Yeah, IT Nation's not on the list.
Yeah, we got to get that on there.
IT Nation Global Orlando, beginning of November. One of the larger industry events. We'll all be there. Henry will be there too. Looking forward to it, and that's kind of the last big event of the year. I shouldn't say that. There's probably other events, but that's one of the ending events of the year.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we apologize for the shortened episode, but it was still good to see you. You got your sports update. You got some advice. So just condensed in a 30-minute package. And next week, hopefully, we should be back to our regularly scheduled programming of an hour. But for MSP Community Live, please come check out our Discord. Come hang out with us, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye, Josh.
Bye.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.